I've been shot about 500 times. I committed about 1 million crimes. I killed a great white shark. I knocked out his teeth and I ripped out his heart. This is Mark Bell. I'm SuperTraining.tv, Super Training Gym, the strongest gym in the West. Answering more questions today for the Power Project, brought to you by HowMuchYouBench.net, the Sling Shot, and the only strength magazine in the world, thepowermagazine.com. We got a question today from a very reputable force in the fitness industry, a guy by the name of Charles Staley. Maybe I shouldn't say he's a force. Maybe I should just stick to saying he's a coach. Charles Staley's been around for a long time. In fact, he's in his 50s now, and he's just starting to enjoy some powerlifting. And when I say enjoy, that means that he has a wrong interpretation of powerlifting. He hasn't done it quite long enough to understand its true misery. But he asks a question that leads me to believe that he's about to encounter some misery. And let's get to that question right now. He asked the question, he says, building the squat over the course of a few weeks, not that big of a deal. Building a deadlift over the course of a few weeks, not that big of a deal. But trying to build both at the same time, he said, that seems like a bigger challenge. What are your thoughts on that? First of all, we are talking about powerlifting, my friend, so we cannot leave the bench press out. You need all three in there. All three are going to account for your total. And I think many lifters, even experienced ones, sometimes forget that. It's nice to have individual goals per lift, but it's not even about getting PRs necessarily per lift. It's about getting PRs on your total. You are a power lifter now, so that's the way it works. You don't have to worry about getting just a 6 pound PR in your squat, or a 3 pound PR in your bench, or a negative PR in your deadlift, or whatever the case is. All you're really concerned about is inching that total up over a period of time, and you don't always need PRs in each individual lift to achieve that. So I just wanted to make sure that's clear, because I think a lot of people, they really focus in on the deadlift and squat, which is cool. Those exercises are fun, but you need to bench press in there. You can't be a hump at any one of the three lifts. That's why powerlifting is so difficult. That's why it's so much more difficult than weightlifting. That's right, I said it. It's more difficult than weightlifting. Why? Simple mathematics, my friends. We have 3 lifts to worry about, and you only have 2. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. So let's get down to business here. Hopefully you guys know I'm kidding. I do have a tremendous amount of respect for Olympic weightlifting. I just have no idea how to do it. It's impossible. So a couple ideas here, and I mentioned it in a video that I just did. A girl just begged my pardon here, and a girl just walked by wearing like the short. I wish I could have tried to film that, but wearing the shortest shorts, pretty much, not that I've ever seen, but pretty short, and they were like leather. I don't know what's going on over there. Things are getting weird. Oh, she's coming back around. Maybe I can catch a glimpse. Okay, see the red jacket over there, over here, the red jacket? Maybe she'll walk across the street and we can get her a better look. Hold on a second here, Charles Staley. This is important for my Power Project Army fans. I know it may not seem important, but this kind of stuff is crucial. I'm just sitting here perving like an old man. Anyway, a couple of thoughts on some things you can do. I think one of the issues is people are trying to go too heavy on both lifts too often. They'll do, let's say, 6 weeks out, they'll start to really ramp up, and they'll do a deadlift and a squat in the same week, and they'll start at, let's say, like 5 reps, and they'll work their way down to about 1 rep, and then they'll have about a week off, and then they'll do the competition. All that's fine and dandy, and sometimes that can lead to some gains. I've seen it lead to, some small gains, but my issue with it usually is the fact that when you're starting out that 6-week cycle, you're already starting out a little bit weaker than you normally would be anyway, so it's really hard to identify and tell whether you're getting the proper feedback from those repetitions as you progress. Anyway, I think a much better solution to the problem is to just simply deadlift and squat every other week, along with bench pressing every week, but doing bench press assistance work on the weeks in between, and not always just bench pressing. That way, it just becomes very simple when you make your program like that. You can go heavy all the time. You can go heavy every single week. You can give yourself some different challenges. You can give yourself some different rep ranges. You could do something that Burdick and myself do called the Bell-Burdick method, where you simply hit a weight, and then you drop the weight. Hit a weight for, let's say, a max set of 3. Could be a max single, doesn't really matter. Let's just say it's a squat. After you hit that max set of 3 or max single or whatever it might be, reduce the weight by about 20 to 30%, and then try to start recording some rep records. And you want to do that every single time you train heavy. So now we're talking about squatting one week, heavy, deadlifting heavy the next, bench pressing heavy on week 1, and week 2 of your bench pressing either A, light, or B, switching it up and doing incline presses, dumbbell presses, lat work, those kinds of things. Basically avoiding training heavy on that second bench workout, but still doing all the muscles that work the bench. On your week off from your squat, you can A, practice your squats if you're a newer lifter and you feel like your timing is off and all that kind of stuff. But you have to promise me that you keep the weights light and that you're actually in there just practicing and moving some weights around. Anything more than that is going to be almost too much of a stimulus for you to really recover from the way that we need you to. So keep in mind, this is also a short period of time that you're going to do this for. It's about 6 to 8 week training cycle. This is set up by the Lilla Bridges, and I have seen it be very effective for them. I've seen increases in strength week in and week out, month in and month out from them. So it seems to be an outstanding program for them. That does not always mean it's going to work for you, but it sounds like one of the more effective programs that's out there right now. Now you also have something like the Cube method. All this is about is recovery. The West Side method is fantastic as well, but all this stuff is about recovery. The West Side method takes a little bit more of your noggin, whereas like the Cube or what the Lilla Bridges are doing, it simply removes stuff out so you don't have to think about it anymore, and you can still just train your balls off. That's exactly what the Cube method does. Cube method is basically a West Side barbell program spread out over a longer period of time, utilizing the 3 different methods: max effort, which simply refers to just going as heavy as possible; the dynamic effort, which simply means moving weight as fast as possible; and the repetition effort method, which refers to the bodybuilder method, aka the jacked and tan method. So with the Cube method, you're going to want to look it up. You're going to want to read the book from Brandon Lilly. That'll help simplify things for you, and he'll break stuff down for you way better than I can. But in basic terms, what you're going to do is, let's just use the squat. We'll use a 3-week squat cycle. And in week 1, you're going to do a max effort. Week 2, you're going to do repetition effort. And week 3, you're going to do dynamic effort. So what that's doing, again, is just giving you enough recovery. You're not training heavy every week. Week 1, you can do a max single. Week 2, you can do a max set of 6. Week 3, you can do 10 sets of 2 and do dynamical work with some bands and some chains. Accommodate resistance, use optimal weights so you can move the weights fast. That sounded like a snore in there, didn't it? Did you hear that? A little bit, like a little piggy noise. That was me. Anyway, so you want to when you're doing your speed work, I suggest for some of you out there that you do box squats. But for some of you guys, you're also going to want to learn the timing of bursting out of the bottom of the lift and things like that. For some of you newer guys, some of you more advanced guys, you can probably afford to do the box squat and won't really make a big difference. So, in short, to increase the deadlift and the squat and the bench at the same time, all this is about is recovery. You have to be able to recover from your workouts. And I know, I'm the guy who went off about the central nervous system, the CNS. That's because I think a lot of people... Okay, I just got cut off there by Jesse Burdick. He made a phone call to me, and I forgot to put my thingy on airplane mode. Anyway, I was just saying how, I'm the person that went off about the central nervous system, but basically I think a lot of people are just pussies, and they use this information as an excuse. As they advance their training, as the training gets harder and harder, they start to research it more and more, and they start to find these key words that they can utilize and use to their advantage whenever they feel necessary, in order to allow themselves to be okay with training like a bitch. So don't train like a bitch. Train hard all the time, but allow yourself the proper recovery that is needed. Realize that when you hit a big squat and when you hit a big deadlift, it has a huge impact on your body. Stand Rhino efforting is also, there's Jesse Burdick popping up again. We have a talk with Reebok later today, and that's probably what he's calling about. He's probably getting nervous. Anyway, so you want to allow yourself proper recovery, give yourself enough time to recover from these big lifts. The big lifts, the big three, they take a long time to recover from, and you need to respect them. In the weeks in between, you could do some hypertrophy work, but it has to be done light. Don't do a squat or a heavy deadlift or even a speed deadlift unless you're following the cube principle. If you're following the Lillard Bridge principle, they told me flat out they just don't do anything. They don't do any they don't do any barbell movement. So they might go in and do a little assistance, a little bit of fluffy fluff work to look pretty, get themselves tan, and get themselves ready for a contest by doing hamstring work, quad work, that kind of stuff, but no squatting, no deadlifting. Multiply your hustle and multiply your muscle. Strength is never a weakness, and that is it from supertraining.tv. Thank you, Charles Staley, for watching the worldwide leader in strength, the Power Project, and that is it from supertraining.tv.